welcome to follow Everton back from a long break. We're all returning. It would be amiss of me to mention that obviously we have signed Jack Grealish on loan today. If you want reaction to that, absolutely. Ryan's done a previous one before, so if you want to look at that, that's brilliant as well. But today's stream is on the third and final test event at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, aka Bramley Moor.
There we go.
Right.
Good evening, Mabbsy. Good evening.
Good evening. Right, I see you're positive, Yann.
Yes, I am very positive. I'm excited today, not just to talk to you, not just to talk about Everton, not just to think about Jack Grealish. Oh, that sounds a bit dodgy. But also, I've been fervently and eagerly waiting here to just thank the people that have been waiting in the comments, some regulars as well. So really do appreciate that. Good evenings.
Yeah, and obviously this is interactive, so I want your thought. We both want your thoughts and what you thought. It's not just an echo chamber. Open and honest. I'm going to be tonight. Again, caveat that I know it was a test event. I know that, but I think there's a whole work needs to be done in 2 weeks. There, I said it. I'm going to start off that. Got a phone call from Yann to be positive. I will be positive, but I'm going to give it warts and all. I'm going to be true to myself. Yann's going to be the positive and that, but it was far from perfect, and I think everyone can see that. Social media, the reaction.
Let me ask you though. What? Right, I'm not going to look, because this is a really important thing. A lot of people will not have been to the test events, and we have to remind ourselves, Mabbsy, before we start, we have to remind ourselves how lucky we are. Right, no, we live local. I'm fourth generation. You're bloody whatever. Right, I inherited my granddad's season ticket as a teenager. All this kind of stuff. It was so easy to just be up there and be where we are and to be in the ballot for these test events and to have season tickets. We are incredibly lucky. And the people who'll be watching, some might not be Everton fans, right? They might be curious about this new stadium that I'm going to go to on an away day or see, or just how does it affect us? Because our club's talking about a new stadium, and what does it matter? How do we do it with the PSR and all this kind of stuff, which we will touch on. So I'm not going to scrutinise you, but we're going to bring up a lot of stuff, mate. So I want to totally make notes
don't get me wrong,
what it is.
I know that I'm lucky, and I'm very lucky to have my seat. I was very lucky to sit in my seat, and the view is spectacular. But we can't get around the problems of this test event.
No, look, and that's the truth. If nothing but the best is good enough, you have to acknowledge when it's not the best.
And that's spot on. I couldn't agree with you more.
Wait, hang on. No, because when you say that, you might be perfectly valid, but to me, the whole experience was not a shambles. So come on, let's listen to it.
To be honest with you, I left Bramley Moor, Hill Dickinson, sorry, and I was severely underwhelmed.
What, by the stadium or the experience?
With the what? Sorry, what was the question?
With the stadium itself, the football, or are you talking about the experience, the change of procedure, the setup?
Fantastic. I think the football wasn't great, but it's pre-season. The experience in general, I think it wasn't a great experience for everyone. I personally think this test event should have been happening in early July before we jetted off to the States. I think we would then probably have time to iron out. Do we have time in 2 weeks? No.
Well, okay. So I see what you're saying there, and it's a valid point, because there are several things to talk about, and let's go through them if you could. So let's go through them very briefly first, please, and then we'll go through them after. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Okay. So we've got to talk about, firstly for me, just jump in and we'll go through as well. But firstly for me, you're talking about the commute and parking, right?
Yeah.
And then you're talking about the sort of not just the pubs and facilities and fan zones around there, but the experience of going from where you park, alight, get off the transport, whatever, and then make your way to the ground vicinity.
Very posh.
What?
That's a very posh word.
The vicinity.
Alight.
And then you've got the I suppose then you do have what you might call the facilities or amenities. That's outside the ground. Then you have like access, or I suppose access, egress, whatever, access to the ground. And then you have so that's getting into the ground, to your seat, to the toilets, to the places, all these kind of things, that experience. And then you have the facilities in the ground.
Shocking.
Right. And then
absolutely shocking.
Around that. Okay. So one thing at a time.
But I'm the same. Shocking. That's
right. And get your comments in there. Get your comments in there. Because look, I'll just as you're maybe talk about something positive, maybe touch on the comments where I'm just going to get a banner up, man. Because I think that's five kind of big points there.
Okay, so the views are fantastic. I agree with Everton when they say there's no bad seat in the house, because there's not. The only issue is the football team. That's a joke, obviously. But no, I mean, I am very lucky to be in the West Stand, not in corporate, in Block 2. So, got a really great view at the side, and quite near, well, not near dugout, obviously, because that is where, corporate is, but it's close to the dugout, and the view is fantastic. And the stadium itself, it just, I was excited to, like day before, Friday, get up this morning, I was excited. And I feel, I don't know the word, I don't know what I was expecting. I can't think of the word. I thought,
underwhelmed, disappointed.
I've said it was underwhelmed. I was like a kid at Christmas, and wanted to get down there early, wanted to, have a look around, have a look at the stones. I'm not allowed to find my stone because the missus wants to find it with me, but have a look at other people's stones. And I think, yeah, okay, so we'll touch on the transport issues now. Again, I don't think many people had problems getting to and from the game, but I do think that come Brighton, there's going to be 50,000 people getting out at the same time. Now, Everton got away with it at the weekend because at the end of the day, they staggered it. That was done on purpose to get to reach a safety certificate. We all know that.
I've said it repeatedly, right? You build a stadium, you build a city. Look, the reason why Manchester is so nebulous and grown in every direction is because there's land around it. But the transport, the history of what around Liverpool, why it's so stunted in places is because you've got a bloody great river. You can't build or travel. We're not all Jesus. We can't walk on water. You can't get out the stadium and go there. And we're funneled out of 3 or 4 entrances onto one road. And nobody's going to walk up to Great Homer Street or Great Howard Street or Vauxhall or anything like that. They're all heading into town.
Yeah.
Right? That raises the issue. That raises the issue of like Sandhills, Moorfields, James Street, because you're talking about this drive for what they're trying to do, de-carify whatever the Strand and all this kind of place. Well, yeah, I get it. But not when you've created a bottleneck where people are reliant on cars, because up to only a few years ago, you've created an infrastructure that doesn't. I'm just going to get stopped.
And then we've got these stupid bendy buses, not even ordered yet. Rotherham's going on about, it'll be great. We've got bendy buses and gliders, whatever he wants to fucking call them. Well, let's be honest.
But here's an opportunity,
we need the right railway system there. We need that right railway.
I've said this. It would be easy for the club or somebody, an opportunistic person with a lot of money or something like that, to decide to use a vacant space or a multi-story car park that on match days for Everton is priority use and is ring fenced for that, but at other times has community usage for communal space, for markets, for activities, youth groups, or stuff.
Okay,
you know,
right.
outreach, charitable things, homeless sleeping, anything, right? But more than that, the club are demonstrated, and I get it, because it's almost like that they've had no responsibility for the surrounding area, because what the fans decide the culture. You get to cherry pick the Crouch report of what we do own and what we don't, and what our responsibility is and isn't, and they let County Road and City Road die. Well, okay, what the only solution, workable solution that would be wonderful, miles head and shoulders above any other football team in this country, is if we came together as a fan base and owned these difficulties and collectively got over them. The ferries across the Mersey, shuttle buses, things coming at people parking in the multi-stories in town, or finding places like Otterspool and that way away to have a sort of fan experience all along the Mersey, and really actually take ownership of the city's all hours. You know what I mean?
Practical solution. Now, I'll just caveat that as well. This isn't Everton's fault.
No, it's not. It's not.
This bit isn't Everton's fault. It is the council. They've had 5 years. They know the capacity. They know the limitations. With regards to the capacity of Regent Road.
Because when we went to and from the game, did it not feel like we were being like, it was like, have you ever been to a festival like Download, where you load all your stuff, or you go in and then it's like a 15-minute trek with your bags and everyone's just silently going like, God, I'm excited to get here, but this is shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I was fortunate that I'm waiting on a pen from the council. That's another thing that hasn't come. Again, the council are so slow to be issuing permits, and I've waited over 3 months and ring them up and you don't get any response. But luckily, I've got somewhere to park on 10 streets. So, I'm very fortunate in that respect. But for everyone else, it's an absolute diabolical situation. There should have been light rail put in, I think. The end of the day, we need it.
Well, we already have an infrastructure. Okay, so 40,000 people plus involved going around, so many of which will be reliant, or the congestion adds a strain on the network and the load for public transport. You've already got an infrastructure in Walton, in Anfield, and in Everton, and in every other part. You do not have any of that infrastructure where the ground is now.
No, but that's not the responsibility of Everton.
No, it's not. I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying.
Everton was, Everton have invested in the area, and the council haven't. Basically, the council haven't kept up their promise. And you know what? It's Everton getting the flack. Steve Rotherham putting stupid bloody posters up about these so-called bendy buses or gliders, whatever you want to call them. Absolutely weird bendy buses absolutely are not going to be the solution to get 50,000 people away off the rail, walking down Regent Road back into town, a good half an hour walk, and then people to disperse from there. As I say, I think a week Sunday, it's going to be an absolute shit show when Brighton come. It is. But I got no qualms about saying it. It will be.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. The money making, like, just off the top of my head, if anybody's watching this, I don't take ownership. I mean, there are my ideas just coming out of my head right now. But do something, because to me, it's not about my platform. This is great. I can reach people, right? But it's about seeing end results. Somebody out there, Everton or a community or something, there's got to be a boat. There's got to be a means by which you can get a business to set up a Mersey thing across that is primarily for match day purposes, could be used, rented, whatever, elsewhere, other things. I have no idea. You encourage people on a scheme that live on the Wirral or go back there to get the boat or to drive over there. There's got to be other ways in which you can turn this into something that's not you could find the positives and turn the negatives into a positive.
Yeah,
they were talking about the floating cities. The floating streets in the Birkenhead docks around the bridges. You could. It's crazy. All these talks, all this, and it is great. But the onus should not be on Everton when we are literally handing a fantastic opportunity to the community and the city to make further investments and to be vibrant and to reclaim that area of the city.
With all due respect, Yann, you know,
I know it's pipe dreamish, but
a boat isn't gonna. I'm gonna use.
No.
I don't know.
I'm not on about a boat.
It's a splash in the ocean because there's a lot of people that don't go over the Wirral, and again, sorry for the pun, but again, a ship isn't going to get the volume across the Mersey that quickly. So a drop in the ocean, again, really bad pun. I'm sorry, but I just don't think it's going to make that much.
It's part of the whole oeuvre of the matchday experience should be other things than just parking up and trudging down abandoned fucking roads as if we're in a Leary painting.
Yeah, but the only practical solution
is a Lowry painting.
Some description of a light railway from the stadium into town, or from the stadium to the Albert Dock, even, high capacity to get everyone away. As I say, everyone coped, and there was no reports of anything. But again, that was orchestrated with the Legends match because he knew a lot of people would disperse throughout, before, during, and afterwards. And it just didn't. You saw it at the end of the Legends game. It was kind of I would say a third full. But again, we've got it very lightly, and that was all orchestrated. No, you can't change my mind saying it wasn't. That was the only reason that game was on. It was and absolutely fine.
That Regent Road was, like I say, it was very, very surreal.
Having
driven around it hundreds of times, it was so surreal to walk out and walk over the bridge. Yeah. I'll pop that up before. It was so surreal because the majority of people, it's not a gradual filtering off into radial things and getting into cars and driving away. Everybody just strangely, and as you say, it was only a third of all people, and that is going to be, it's not a great experience. And I don't know what the club, what the council, what anyone's going to do about that. Where are the coaches going to go? Where's the sort of main place? Because it's not a panic. It's just rather frustrating. But anyway, we're banging on about it. And look, I guess
that wasn't really the same experience. So as I say, I think it does need to be sorted. That will sort of those time. And again, to anyone who's just joined in, I know what you're going to say. There is a test event, but I just don't think we can skirt around the issues that were there. So I think we'll move on to
the area,
the area, and the bars outside of the ground, the third party bars. Everyone, the bars were heaving, fantastic. Absolutely no issues with that.
I don't want to name any. There were quite a few along there that were open. There were about lots of places that.
Was it the paddock?
No, the terrace.
The terrace. Sorry, I want to thank the terrace a lot because let's be brutally honest, the hospitality was brilliant. The terrace bar is just the view of the stadium is absolutely just amazing, and they've got it really good in there. I didn't go into the Blue House. I will do. So, this isn't a slight on any
other. 10 streets. There's 10 streets which has been established for a while.
Obviously.
Yeah. Is it Invisible Wind Factory's got a place up there?
Yeah.
Murphy's I mean, look, if I've missed any, it's not intentional. It's just there was so much going on, so many people. And the truth is, these places, and obviously there's the Bramley Moor Hotel. Look, these people and places and businesses, they've been in a very difficult situation where they've had to have bought ages ago and literally have good faith that things are going to come off right. And obviously, a big stadium, it's not going to necessarily fall through, but the overheads, the cost, the rent, just waiting for this to kick off.
Yeah,
but also then, I know that you've had, I don't want to be anything libelous or slanderous here, but you've had companies that have been holding out and digging their heels or turning their head in regards to what's been happening there and holding on to land and not being quite clear over what they're doing and not doing there, which has made it very difficult for the club, supporters groups, business owners, interested parties to really take ownership of the
Jazz has put that's all the main road, and yeah, it is. But
no, hang on. They're not on the main. No. They're not on the main road. Well, if she's talking about the Great Howard, this is the Regent Road, which is the main road next to the ground, because she's just said Taipan in the next comment, and no, that's miles away. No, these are all places that are within 5 minutes walking distance.
Yeah, right outside, bang outside the stadium. On Regent Road, and they were all great. And again, I can't wait to go into the Blue House. I believe Hot Walk is there, good old Hot Walk. Obviously going to sample that. Just didn't have time to go into them all. Obviously, it's the first game, but I think the future's bright for outside, and every success, every single business out there, because times are hard, and you know what. Do your best to support them.
I know, but there have been a couple of okay. So there are things that maybe you might see in future, but maybe there's been a cost cutting exercise. But when you think about the actual cost, what 700 million or something for the entire thing?
Yeah, 800 million. Yeah.
Okay. Would it really have been that hard to I suppose throw away a couple of 100,000 on some buildings, something that would not necessarily join to the border, the boundary wall, but things that would emulate some features around Goodison, or just not have a vast, sparse brick expanse of nothing? Because basically, once you've got the fans, look, once they've gone through those gates, they can go. You expect them to go in the ground, but that huge area is a potential for money making, socializing, and look. We're going to touch on it. There are failings and issues you are not going to draw everybody into Bramley Moor. The stadium itself will not replace L4. You cannot do that. And people will not want to go in and spend all of their money there. If there's anyone from the club watching this, you must have retail psychology, reports on this. People will stubbornly refuse to do that. And actually you'll reach a critical price point where you'll start losing money if you don't pander to what people really want.
Yeah, Peter, I'll come back to your comment when we do discuss that. So I will. It is a very valid point, but I can counter that. So I think that's outside bars covered. Outside the ground, not affiliated to Everton.
And shops will pop up. Shops will more stands, and you're going to see. I suppose you will see licenses and people working out the routines for the new station for the takeaway vans, the burger vans, and stuff like that.
Well, there are stuff within the fan zone. So we had a pint in the terrace, me and Yann, and again, good pint. It was, and then we went over the road, and then it was security checks, going through metal detector. Fine, fair enough. I don't know if that's going to happen in the future.
I really don't see. Look, I don't want to. Is it wise to start being strangely critical of security procedures?
I'm giving my overall. I'm giving people a walkthrough as a guide. So that was, to be honest with you, that was done fairly efficiently. They kept your ticket, and then you went through a metal detector, and then bam, in the fan zone. And what hits you is a great expanse in the fan zone. I think I didn't arrive there early enough to suck it all in. I wanted to go and have a look at the Everton Way.
I think it was modelled on our trophy cabinet.
Don't go there. But, I think what people also got to realise is that fan zone is one of the biggest outdoor spaces in the whole of Liverpool, and I think independently of the stadium that Everton wants to exploit that, and they will do so. Obviously for pre-match, with Julia, who does an absolutely amazing job, with the pre-match entertainment, and then but I think they're going to have events in the summer, outdoor events and space. So that's something to look forward to in the future. Again, a cracking little revenue stream for Everton.
Do you know what? It's interesting as well. You can clearly see within there that there's scope to segregate sections of the ground to suggest that with all the hospitality suites and the outdoor area, because you could potentially have communal or group entertainment in the middle and other activities, that there's clearly scope there for multiple shared occupancy, rent usage of space at multiple times.
Well, that's it. They're going to get events on there as well. So again, another tick in the box. Absolutely fantastic. So then the Everton Way, of course, that was busy. Of course, everyone was looking for the stones. And to be fair, it's absolutely amazing. A fantastic idea, way to create revenue, way to put, people to pay the respects or have the name there, for life. A fantastic idea. And it
can I just be really negative?
So well.
It is really fantastic, and I want to come back. I want to circle back to. No, I know. I want to circle back. This is why I want to circle back to that, because that's a real positive before we talk about actual, inside the ground and stuff like that. Now, I kind of. The one thing that struck me rather disappointingly is, yes, there were test events, but this was a full capacity. As far as they go, more competitive than the others, and it was the one game to gear us up before the Premier League. Can I just say how ultimately and extremely disappointed I was by whoever made the decision at Everton Football Club that the fans would be entirely isolated with no conduit or no media, no representation of the club, its history, its heritage, its players, the board, the staff, or anybody. It was just stewards doing their best to help people and outsourced security staff. And the fact that you didn't have a stand or a speech or something or anybody, the fact that the stadium was brimming with Evertonian legends that were there for this day, it really irked me. It came across as rather corporate, that they couldn't have had any sort of presence, and it felt very strange and rather de-individualized and very impersonal.
I think that will come because when it officially opens for the Brighton game, to be honest with you, Yann, again, we are talking, it was a test event. So, where we go, again, it was pre-season. The curtain raiser will be.
Are you telling me that they couldn't have had like a youth team there, or the under 18, or some of the squads, or some of the coaches from the women's team, or something to thanks for leaving, we've got Goodison, or the youth players going, this is where we want to play in the future, something, so that it wasn't just the fans, because we make our mark on this, yes, but we come for the team. So the fact that we go to this, what is emotionally a faceless new place, and that it just showed a lack of, and we're in the comfy place. That I just a little bit.
I disagree with you. Obviously, you're entitled to your opinion, and I just feel. I don't. Again, that's words. I just feel that was. I don't think that's irrelevant. That wasn't about this. It will come at Brighton. There will be a massive fanfare because it's a first competitive game. We're on TV. And the world will be looking at us.
Okay, fair enough. All right, okay.
I just don't see this game, because it wasn't an official competitive match, and I just don't think it was. Again, still, we've got to keep reminding ourselves and keep telling people, a test event, things will go wrong. But as I've said previously, I think.
So the Everton Way.
I think they left it too late. I think to have this test event.
Now, the Everton Way, what would have been really, really good is, rather than on the day, the fact that you could only access it from 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, it would have been good for people who could prove an invoice of the Everton Way, that they were on a list, with their unique purchase number, could go in potentially the day before or access it for a couple of days before to find out where their stone is, or the fact that the map didn't have the exact stone when they know where they bloody put them. Right? They've all got URL. They all track them with the order so that they can tell you what section they're in. So they know where they are, and it's getting people there so that they're. I don't know. Is it a delay tactic? Again?
No. Again, it was probably part of the way to get people into the stadium early. to put the pressure off the Merseyrail, off the buses. Of course,
and
it was.
also, we've been. Oh my God, we better get there early. We better get there early and check all these things out. Oh my goodness, there's this and there's the legend match. I should probably buy some food.
Could you? Wow. Okay, we will come on to that. I think I disagree with you on the Everton Way a bit.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm just raising points. It was great. It was great. I liked it.
Let me finish. I think I disagree with wanting to know the exact location. Right. I think the fun part is I'm great that they're given the sections, really handy, brilliant idea. However, I think the fun part is looking in that section for your stone. I'm sorry, but that's a kid in me. And I actually think that's far better than knowing that this is where your exact stone is. No, I like that. I like that we have to look for it. So you get to see others and it makes you smile. Some of the messages, you know what I mean. And it's brilliant. What do you think, guys? Do you think Yann is right, or do you what? What are your opinions on that? I think away is an update with Everton Way. The stadium will be open from the 25th of August, so after the Brighton game. So it's the Monday after the Brighton game, I believe, and then you will be able to walk around the stadium. You will be able to go onto Everton Way. You will be able to find your stone. So that's what me and my partner are going to be doing. She's that excited about it, and I think it's a great idea. So we could,
right. So Everton Way, it is okay. It is fantastic, and I did get plenty of pictures. And I get it that there's tactics and logic, or maybe things that just don't get thought of because they're not in the path of least resistance. It's more important getting people in on time for the kickoff, the test event. How do we facilitate that when we've got X, Y, and Z that would normally do this and draw them in, and we don't? And I get it. I do. Right. I really do. But you're not going to please all the people all the time, are you?
No, you're not, and especially us Evertonians. If you are on social media, you understand what I'm saying.
I called. Funny enough, last night I called.
We do like a good moan, and you know what? We've had lots of moan about.
I called BBC last night. I called the BBC last night. It was about 2, 3 in the morning. I was up all night. Well, not all night. I was up late coding, doing boring stuff. And I spoke to Doughton and got on there talking about the football thing on Monday night, Tuesday morning. I got a bit of praise for being Everton fans. Everton fans are always quite, they've got a good sense of perspective and they don't have an arrogance. And he was very, 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 I think, honestly reflective of a shared fan base that we're not deluded. We're not delusional. We don't have, we're not disconnected from reality. So when we're making these criticisms, it's just like, don't take the piss out of us. Because, Everton Way was great. You're not going to please all the people all the time, right? But you go in the ground and people are talking here. It was like queues everywhere. And now let's get to the real issue before we talk about how wonderful the stadium is, which is going to take up the other half of the show.
I mean,
what's the real issue?
The real issue?
Yeah.
About what?
About what we experienced once we were inside the ground.
Okay, so we'll go through the. So everyone was looking for. So I'll just walk you through my day. So we go in, find your turnstile, get in. I'm on the lower, absolutely fine. Of course, there's going to be queues because people are used to having their physical season tickets. That's been taken away this year. As we all know, people don't know to have their phones ready, quite literally just to tap on to the screen and then you're in. So yes, there's going to be queues. However, now I'll caveat this, I'm in the lower, didn't experience this, but I think in fact some people did on the upper, and again, we'll talk about it, because it's not my experience, but it's other people's experience that I've seen. So on the upper, you have to go through a certain turnstile, right? And not all the turnstiles have escalators. So for the older generation, they didn't get to choose whether there was an escalator there or stairs. and people were struggling to get up the stairs due to mobility issues. I think people had a problem with people hadn't accessing your list because there was apparently not everyone can use them. But you can only use them either have a lift pass or something like that, special permission from the club. So if you do need that, ring the box office and they should be able to assist you in trying to get that sorted. But I think
to be fair, the answer that I got as well, just talking about it, I don't know whether they covered it because it's an issue for some people. I asked about the accessibility entrances, and they just said, "Oh, just go here and there," and all that kind of stuff. So,
I think the argument is as well, right? So, if everyone in the lower can access the seat in the from any turnstile in the lower, and it's just an easy solution. And if anyone in the upper can access the seat from anywhere in the upper, why are they restricted to certain amounts of the one turnstile, one block? Surely it would make sense for people in the lower to access any lower turnstile of their choosing, and people to access any upper turnstile of their choosing. So if they do have mobility issues and they don't necessarily want to get in a lift, they can choose the turnstile with an escalator. I don't know if that's logical. Is that practical? But why not? What's the issue with that? Or is that just common sense?
Well, here's the thing. The fact is, like at Goodison the other day, sorry, at Bramley Moor, they said you couldn't leave outside to go out before the Legends match. And I'm just thinking how ridiculous it is when at any point the computer can know where that QR code is. And in theory, if you were broadcast or they asked you to connect with Wi-Fi, hotspotting, NFC, NFT, all these kind of things, they can ping roughly where your phone is and they'll know whether you're inside or outside. Well, but the fact is, once you...
Again, that's a health and safety issue, Yann. I know...
Well, health and... No. I'm going to jump in there and say, yes, you'll put, but for people with disabilities and accessibility needs, so to do that...
You've been to American football, haven't you? Right? I went to college football in Nebraska, okay? And I was blown away. So I think the second quarter, the American family said, well, let's go to pub. I'm like, what? Because you can't get so ground in this college football ground. I don't know whether they're looking to introduce it. Anyway, so he said, get your ticket. I was like, right, okay, make sure you got your ticket. That's fine. And what they did was that we scanned out, we tapped out, right? Went to the bar, and then tapped back in, and they allow you to do it. So maybe that would be the solution. But football is completely different to American football. That's not going to happen in a football, because American football's fucking long, and I'd never wish that on anyone else. I'd never go again, ever, because anyway, that's irrelevant. But you have to know who's in the stadium, who's not in the stadium, so you can't necessarily rely on that, Yann. I think if they had a tap out, tap in, tap out system, fine, but they don't. I kind of get what they were doing there.
Yeah, no, but I get that. But the whole fact that it just seems rather strange that there's vast empty spaces that aren't yet being utilised, which is strange. And if it's just for access and egress, there's so many little things, of course, that you say there's a lot to do in those 2 weeks. And for me, it was rather strange yeah, okay. So Emma said at least 8 flights of stairs in club view. Now, the fact is, it's very good for me and anyone else, and the majority of people in the lower section of the ground, because you just go from straight level and that's it. And then the only stairs you get are once you get out into the bowl, the ground.
Emma, can you give me your opinion on club view, please? We will come to that because I know people have had problems. So if you are in club view, I would appreciate.
I spoke to somebody after the match on the way or near the Denby, and they said they were rather frustrated. They went for some food, and at a couple of places it was out. The queues were longer, and at times they couldn't necessarily get served. Yeah. They weren't allowed access into other parts. They didn't necessarily have the whole match day experience or the extras that they were talking about.
The
They're
issue
concerned
with that is, Yann, that was part of the club view that you don't, because as me, you know, we were looking at club view when we were selecting our tickets. So I rang up the box office because it was a dedicated concourse. So I actually rang them up and said, look, this dedicated concourse, will I be allowed to access the entire stadium? And to be honest with you, the guy didn't know. He said, I'll put you on hold.
No.
And
no, the answer is the answer.
Hang on, Yann, just let me finish. And then he came back after 2 minutes and he said, no, no one was allowed to enter or leave the concourse at Club View. That's the idea. That is the idea of it. So you will, if you're in Club View, that's why one of the reasons why I primarily didn't choose Club View. I mean, regardless of the height situation, I couldn't have coped with it anyway. But one of the factors was I couldn't go around the whole stadium, and if you'd asked again, it wasn't. I don't think it was made that clear, but it did say a dedicated concourse. So I get, if you asked the question, you would have got the answer, but it didn't really tell you that it was. But that is Club View.
You'd have to wonder, there might have been a means by which they could have had a sort of club view attached to the sort of hospitality boxes and all that, because it seems as if it's a sort of selective experience.
Yeah, but it's a selective experience, but it's not corporate. You're not paying corporate prices. You're paying a few more quid. You get a match program, you get a dedicated concourse, and you don't.
It's catering to people who want that. I suppose it's
catering to. It's being sold as quite literally, it'll be a breeze to get your food. You get £10 credit.
No. It's not. But I don't. That's not the impression I ever got from it, that it would be a breeze. To me, it's being sold under the guise of, look, there will be semi. It's not going to be super celebrities, but there might be, there'll be ex-players there. There'll be, it'll be a more gentlemanly club. It'll be more like the smoking room or the Diogenes club than slumming it with the oiks in the, the piss and sawdust.
But then you've also got to know that Club View get a premium view. They get a view quite literally on the halfway line, where West Ham do.
It's the old TV view.
For the view as well.
It's the TV view that was at Goodison.
Yeah, so you do get you are paying for a view. So, and Club View. I don't know, but I get it. I get what done. Again, we don't know what Club View is going to look like on next Sunday
when it's in
effect. It's completely different. Because there's a lot of people saying that it wasn't even segregated. Now people are coming from the so-called cheap seats. And I use that very, very loosely, by the way, and going into the Club View concourse, because it wasn't sectioned off, which had the impression it would be sectioned. Like, I think it's akin to the Park End. I think the Park End, where there was a bit segregated off the Park End, it was a bit corporate. So that's kind of where,
like we've had the Joe Mercer and the Alex Young and the Dixie,
like
the 300.
I think that's what people are akin to. I mean, obviously not without the comfy seats. But anyway, right, we digress. If you do have your opinion on Club View, feel free to let us know, because we weren't there. Again, Emma, if you want to, please let us know. Right, so you get in through the turnstile, and there's this vast amounts of space unused. It probably has to be there for evacuations, because
but when you but obviously you have to be careful with evacuations. But it's a very large space. Surely you can have massive people. Wait. Surely that is the place where, look. I'm sorry. I'm going to take the mic here a second. Right. This is where the club really should tip the balance back towards the fans, because that is where you have people in those big entrance hallways like American things. That's where you have the hospitality with all this fancy high-tech cameras and screens and digital tech and the internet of things, right? The difference is, no, it was 880 versus 1200, not 780. And the difference of things is, and it wasn't even 1200, it was 1100. The difference of things is that they should be like selling the raffle tickets or getting people's comments on the game and snippets, watching like young kids go to their first game or fans that have come from abroad. Now, I know that that won't happen at the test match, but you'd think that's where they do that kind of stuff to get people excited when they come in, to grab a few people here and there, all that kind of stuff, rather than just bang in, exit. Do you know what I'm saying? It's more like the whole event. So hopefully, because you want things like the mascots and the ball boy, you just want that whole environment, that this is our home and it's a bloody big thing. It's not, yeah, of course, Goodison was fantastic, but that's where you want to be selling the raffle tickets and getting people interested in stuff around the club and other things, not the moment they get in being confronted with a cash milking exercise. And this is where I get the point, because I'm sorry, I'm going to talk about the cost of the food.
You need to change it. You need to change your even positive, Yann, because
no. But I am being positive. You can point out a flaw. I'm not raging here.
okay.
£6.50 for a donut with the gimmick of blue icing is ridiculous. £10.50. I'm sorry. Hang on, please.
It was £3.50 and previous estimates.
Oh yeah, £3.50 at the test event. £3.50 is a lot for a pre-packaged, made in some dark kitchen bakery thing there, pre-done. It's not like a fresh donut in from a patisserie or a bakery, is it? No, right? But my bone of contention, yeah, that is ridiculous, right? But the issue is other things. Like I went, and I'm sorry, and I don't mean to excoriate the club or the catering, but you know what? The guy said, move aside, because there were other people that were complaining. And I was pointing it out, and it seemed like they just wanted them to pay and move on before they realised the mistake they'd made. £10.50 for a bowl that was 6 inches across, and it was filled over, 3/4 of the way, but the majority of that was rice. It was a cheap sauce with some peppers and onions in it, maybe a bit of black bean or whatnot. And I had, as did other people, 2 pieces. And when I say 2 pieces, I don't mean wings or legs or anything like that. I mean cut pieces of chicken. Now, I'm sorry, when you look at the wholesale retail cost, you could talk about overinflation like that, but the maximum that would have cost, like from the costing side, having retail business experience, catering experience, finance experience, right? £1.50 per portion. Are you telling that at the most 160, all this, and there's other overhead? Yeah, that's factoring in the overheads. Are you telling me that they're trying to have the concessions reimbursed or refunded with a 6 to 10 times markup on some food that was really not fit for standard? It's appalling. It is disgusting, and it's highway robbery and theft, and you've got a captive audience, and there's rumours of not bringing in other food. That is a joke.
No, it's not rumours. That's true.
That is not true, and I will make a point of it, because as a registered disabled person, I refuse, and also a person in financial hardship, I refuse to have that situation where for a protracted period of time I can't manage my blood sugar, my ease, my sort of welfare and well-being and sense. No, absolutely not. £10.50, I got a refund, and he said I'm happy to do it, just move away. Nah, it's appalling.
Yeah, so anyway, you were in the east stand, I'm sat in the west stand. So you turn left and then you pass.
£11 for a loaded hot. £11 for a loaded hot dog.
Yeah. I'm gonna go more. So in the south stand, so you pass 2 concessions. You pass a burger shop, and then you pass this Amazon walkthrough shop, right? So this is half an hour before kickoff, and basically both of them were heaving, and you struggled to get through. And then, so I looked at the prices. It was like £6.95 for a Stella. Probably pay that.
It wasn't a pint. It wasn't a pint, by the way.
Wasn't it?
They weren't selling pints.
Okay, well, I don't know what they were saying because I didn't get there. So anyway, yeah, I think it was just £1 cheaper for Bud. But the prices of the burgers and chips. Burgers and chips.
How much was a burger?
Well, I'll go up the burger and chips together. That's all you could get. So there was 3 options: burger, cheeseburger and veggie burger, again, vegan burger, sorry.
What was
again,
the difference between a burger and a cheeseburger, Mabbsy?
One's got cheese on.
And what was the price difference?
Well, so the burger was £12.50 with chips. The cheeseburger was £14. So they're charging £1.50 for a slice of cheese. £1.50 for a slice of cheese. And then the vegan was, I think, about 12 quid. I'm not 100% sure. Not a vegan, so doesn't interest me in the slightest. I think at this point we do need to caveat the food, because I think it's not wholly down to Everton, because Everton subcontracts to Aramark. So I'm assuming that
Aramark, they've been going for a while down south. I know of them.
Well, it's subcontracted to Aramark, so I'm assuming that either I think out the two, there's two business models, that Aramark license it and pay a fee, and then Everton profit share, or which I hope they're doing, because of what, or they're paying them a substantial fee and then they're not profit sharing, so Aramark's creaming the whole profit. So I hope that it's the first one, not the second.
Yeah, let's just point out here. Let's just point out some very facts that I was being made told clear. Is that people? I don't know who to trust. It's hearsay. But if there's any truth to it, it's stuff for people to investigate. Multiple people at the ground were telling me, they were saying, this isn't a pint. I was told it was a pint. It was advertised as a pint, all this kind of stuff. And they were being given half pints and cans, and it was not being filled up. And they were told £6.50 for a can, which there you go.
Well, you know what, though, people could, that was lucky for people who could actually get a pint. So I'll go on. The self-serve shop, I think that's a great idea. So the way that works is you tap your card on there. I think it takes a £20 holding payment.
Like petrol in the middle of the night.
Yeah. You then select what you want, and then these cameras do the clever tricks, and then you get out. But again, it's meant to be a free flow system. It wasn't very free flow. There was still a lot of queues to get to it. And then so I didn't have any issues. I think I took it and charged me correctly. I mean, again, £6.50 for a pie, £7 for a sausage roll.
Do you know what? Like, why the hell not bin it off and find local Liverpool businesses that can use their kitchens to bring in for match day events and have local things? I mean, just off the top of my head, things like the Hot Wok could have a franchise kitchen with Everton directly. Daphne's Cheesecake. I'm just at Greg's. I don't bloody know, but not a contractor that sat there in some bloody office without any direct input on the club, the community, the city, the fan base, or any of that. It's just somebody with a contract going, how much can we do this for? Nobody's saying, what are we actually adding to the fan experience? It's what are we adding to the Everton Stadium brand? There's a big difference there.
This is the issue that, we wanted Everton to become more business-like. And now we're facing the brunt of it. But at the end of the day, I hope this deal with Aramark is a good deal for the club. I hope we're not getting our pants whipped down, personally. Ryan, do you want to come in?
Yeah, hello. I've been listening to everything you've said from start to now, and it's really enjoyable and interesting. The club view thing, sorry, I've got a few points. That's shocking in terms of not being able to actually get up there without a lift or escalator. That's very, very surprising.
I think there was a lift, but again, you needed a pass to access it, and no one's told the people about you need a lift, you need a pass. So, in fairness, there is a lift, but again, you need to contact Everton to be able to use it. Not everyone can.
From what people are telling me, and that includes David as well, my brother from the channel, our friend.
Hang on, just quickly before you say that though, just very quickly. Mabbsy said that, oh, you have to contact the club. I was told that we'd be reached about the season ticket as accessibility and things like this. Why is it that the categorically across nearly all metrics, the most disenfranchised, the most underrepresented, and with least advocacy for them are the ones that then have to be treated, that then have to proactively find out what to do, and then they're facing a brick wall when they do so. It's not good enough.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. Absolutely. And people don't want to be put into boxes again, being marked as disabled or join the Everton Disability Supporters Club. They don't have to. But that information is not freely available to them. How are they going to know? Right, sorry, Ryan, go on.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
I'm in agreement. Just a couple of things, obviously. The parking does concern me because at the moment, driving to the ground, I mean, you know what I do for a living. A lot of the time I will have to leave sort of 5-10 minutes early. I can't really do a Sandhills to South Liverpool, back to the car and then start. Part of the beauty of Goodison was you could just get in the car and leave. You could park Gladys Street car park, Park End car park, back of Everton 1 car park. You could park and Stanley car park.
I like the step away from parking, just as long as if there were other solutions, because I do not like the idea that we've got 20,000 cars just coming for the same purpose when it's right in the middle of a city.
The problem is obviously the Dock Road is really busy as it is. Then if you say it's a Saturday, it's even busier. Then you say Everton are playing, it's even busier. So I get why the car situation is difficult, but there are a lot of roads towards that Mercedes-Benz dealer and around there heading towards Bramley-Moore Stadium that could be utilised for car parking. So that's the first thing that worries me. That's giving me a bit of anxiety. The fact that I've got to travel in a group of 3, 4, 5 people. Some of them have walking problems or are older people with health conditions that might not be eligible for disabled badges, and that does present an element of anxiety. Selfishly, of course, with my job, I need to get off early as possible at times to make where I've got to go, other obligations in the evening. What I found, what people have told me, was that the toilets were disgusting. The queues were horrendous for all the facilities. Now, I just want to play devil's advocate here rather than add more fuel to the fire and say it was a test event. Every Tom, Dick and Harry and Grealish is going to go and want to try some of the donuts, which are ridiculously overpriced. I've got no issue with capitalism, but I think that £6.50 is borderline robbery. You might as well have access to my bank account already if you're charging me £6.50 for a fucking donut. The queues are ridiculous, but we have to appreciate everyone wants to try. So everyone wants to try the burgers. Everyone's going to try their food, and so that's why it'll be busy. And I said to David, and we talked about this. I said, how often realistically would you be going for a half-time pint? How often realistically are you going for a meal? But he said to me, his defense was, but Ryan, at Goodison, I could go the Blue Dragon. I could go somewhere else for a chippy before. I didn't have to go in. It's because you're trapped in. It's a tourist trap. You're hungry. No. You can't take your food. Hang on, Yann, please, 1 second. You can't take your own food in. They ban it. So you're stuck in the ground. You're fucking starving. You can't bring your own food in. You have to queue up. You've got people who I'm friends with. 2 of them have got diabetes. Do you really want to be stood there in a queue for the whole of the half time just to get something to eat? It's not acceptable. So based on the fact it's a test event, fine. That's okay. But if this is happening 9 weeks into the season and you can't get access and you're still having to queue and it's still a farce like it was at Goodison, then that's when we have to speak up and say, look, you need to get more staff on.
That's when we get collective fan action and we do things like malicious compliance. Oh, I can't bring food in, can I? Oh, well, I'll just have to empty this tuna salad right here by the door on the floor and take the container inside.
Again, not advocating that, Yann. Anyway, right. I'll move on. So
would you very quickly be able to, could you just read George's comment, just because George goes back even to the Follow Everton Forum days, which is over 10 years.
Yeah.
So just give him a little.
Yann, stop. Right. So Club Seals is a very last minute idea to reach thousands more fans. And in particular, wanting you to sit at the top balcony for wanting similar views. Yeah, probably. Yeah. I totally agree with you.
It looks like a great view.
There's going to be no arguments there. Another thing was that the concourses were packed out, and I think the way that we were sold, Bramley-Moore or Hill Dickinson as it is now, was that you could go and meet your family on the same tier and go to the West End, try out different food options, because not all the food. I couldn't even get to this. I was in the West Stand. You couldn't even get halfway in the South Stand for 15 minutes. It is rammed. And that's partly due to the queuing, the lack of concessions there.
That does worry me.
And again, another thing is the West Stand. So you've got blocks 1, 2, and 3, right? And in the whole entire West Stand, there's not one single concession. You have got to go round the corner to go to the South Stand to get food.
But there was that burger place, wasn't there?
There's nothing, right? Absolutely, there's no concessions in the West Stand, right? So the point being is, if you want to get food at half time, you're not going to get it or a pint at half time, because you've got to go, because everyone in the South Stands goes straight back out, straight downstairs into the concession, into the queue, right? You wouldn't get around the corner, too busy.
Can you write this down?
I'll text you it, yeah. But you can't, so there's no concessions in the West Stand lower, maybe the upper, but not there is.
Did we not have the map? Did we not have the stadium map?
It's there on the map. There's no concession.
We went to the second test event. When we went to the second test event, there was a place where we had burgers.
Well, literally, there's nothing there now. There's not none. Right, I believe it's on the map. West End Lower does not have any concessions whatsoever. So that's really bad. There's a lack of e-bars just to get a pint if people want a pint.
Which stand are you on about, Mabbsy? You're on about the West Stand.
West Stand Lower, because it blocks 1, 2, and 3. West Stand Lower, there's nothing. Believe me, I was there.
Oh, for God's sake, hang on.
West Stand Lower. So most of it is corporate and the family stand, but the West Stand Lower does not have a single concession. You think I'm lying, or you must say, because it's a fact. Yeah, right. Yeah, trying to fact check me, but I'm
not trying to fact check you. I'm trying to just bloody check what's actually going on. Right, here we go. Here's a map that's from Everton Football Club. Oh Christ, here we go. No,
there's nothing there, right? Yeah.
No, hang on. West Stand. Right, hang on.
There was one there because I had a burger there. I had the vegan burger.
It's not there now, Ryan. If you look at the map,
you're joking me.
Nothing. No.
Right, yeah, no, look, on the map, evertonfc.com/season-25-26/stadium-information/west-stand. I will put this in the chat. Here we go.
The reason we went to West. The reason we went
West is because
it's covered in sun.
Right, let me show you.
Can you share it?
No, yeah.
Am I right, Yann? Yes or no?
What?
Am I
essentially, yeah.
Well, no, it's not essentially. I am right. You've got.
Look, there's no way of saying. Look, there's food. This is what I'm saying.
Andy, were you with me for the second test event? I don't think you were you? Were you with me for the second test event?
No, wasn't.
Okay, so I wasn't bothered by this. I got a burger on the corner, then there was toilets, and then he just walked a little bit further around into the west.
No, yeah, so they're in the south and not in the west.
So can you see this?
Yeah.
My vision was that it was in that bottom left-hand corner, though. I had it more towards the corner of the south, and it was.
Well, it's not there now, Ryan.
Right, so look, you can see that, Mabbsy, you were where it wraps around to the little bit on the bottom of the West Stand. You were there, right? And then all that above is all the corporate and all that. And then the stuff in the top corner is to do with the club and the admin and the ambulance and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So all that there.
There's nothing.
They're assuming that all those fans there are going to trickle out and go elsewhere or go upstairs.
Go
upstairs. No, you can't have everybody in the south stand there.
Yeah, that's where the south is, right behind the south stand.
So I suppose where I am in the east stand opposite you is actually the optimum position, because I'm right in the middle of all the concessions, so that the biggest crush will be at the edges from people filling in. You get me?
Yeah.
It is better where you are, Yann, because you can easily get into the ground. However, the reason we didn't go for the east stand was purely because of the perspective of the sun. On a sunny day, you are
that's shocking too.
Blinded. You know, you're blinded on
the
east.
Or you can do what I do, which is wear the sunglasses because it's not going to be all through the year, because it will be lower at other parts of the year, and you could already see when it got a little bit later at about 4:30, 5 o'clock at this time of the year. What that indicates is that it's not going to be a problem for the majority of the season. So just for a few games.
From other people sitting in the east stand, they found it blinding. It was like being in the Gladys Street.
I went there for the Legends games second half. And
Yann, you're shaking your head. Was it not very sunny?
It was for a period, but oh no, I have to do that or wear sunglasses for a little bit if it's sunny.
I don't want to be having to hold my hand above my eyes. I don't want to have to hold my hand. I mean, I
don't want to have to be human. I don't want to have to be human, for crying out. How entitled, right? I'm sorry.
I'm just fucking £80. I don't want to have to hold my hand above my head for 90 minutes.
Correct.
I already have to twist my neck. Fight through the queues in a stampede and cross 50 different.
The world is not about you. You are not more important than 50,000 other people.
Nobody said that. Nobody said that. Nobody said that.
But the anger over the sun, it's just.
No, but if I have to get the train, a bus, and walk to walk in through a crowd of stampede to fight my way for an overpriced, tasteless vegan burger, to then twist my head and sit
Ryan,
with my hand covering my eyes.
There's a simple solution.
Let me finish my fucking point, please.
No,
if I have to sit, hang on, please. If I have to get the train, a bus, a bike, and walk and fight through the stampede of people to get an overpriced, tasteless vegan burger, to then twist my head and then hold my hand above my head and sit through 95 minutes of pure shit football, then I bloody will, and I have to pay £880 for the privilege. So I will speak. Thank you.
Okay, in response to that, if that is the way that you view going to the football and the entire experience, Ryan, why the fuck do you go, mate?
I'm going to watch the actual match, and all the other stuff is superseded by the fact that if the football is good, I don't care. But however, the bare minimum for me, and I tell you this now, the bare minimum for me is I just need to be able to get there and not get crushed and be able to get to my seat and see the game. I don't really care about the food. I don't really care about the other stuff, but that is comedy gold. That is Mark Goldbridge. That's what I've just done.
Oh, right. This one, Kev. Great rant, Ryan. But true, isn't it? At the end of the day, I think. Hang on, let's bring this up. It was really early on. Peter Duggan. I can't. Bear with me, right? Where was it? I think he kind of said, you don't go to the game for the hospitality. You go for the football. But at the end of the day, apparently the corporates, that was a shit show. From what I've heard, apparently they meant to open at 12, didn't open till 1. People were kicking off. There we go. You're not supposed to go to a footy match for food and hospitality anyway. You're supposed to be there for footy, so not the moaning about the food on the head, and just don't bother with it. But I think we've covered that.
I liked the vegan burger when I had it, by the way. I just want to clarify. What I said was for comedy, for humour. If people think I'm that serious.
The point being is the club, I will point this out because, one, there are people who do want to eat food. There are people who care about how much it costs and the quality of it. There are people who want to hold the club accountable for making the claims and painting a picture of it being an all-encompassing experience for the day and the fans, and then taking the piss out of them. in some regards.
Yeah. Wide concourse is absolutely, that's what we were sold. And I don't see it. I think they're very narrow, being honest with you, absolutely rammed.
What a rant this is.
But, you know, I think you need to take positive, Yann, because you rang me before and goes, I don't want to be slating the club, but actually, you said about the prices as well. Quite literally rang me before, right? And you're the worst one for it. But we all are. We're all pissed off, and this is why I was underwhelmed. You know, the stadium is great. I just think what we were told, but isn't what's being delivered currently. And again, I know it's a test event before people ran to me, but this is why it should have been held earlier so we can iron out these problems.
But the principle is you take a driving test because you assume to pass. You don't take a driving test and then go, oh, well, look at all these places I failed. I know where I need to improve.
And to be honest with you, I'll be brutally honest.
Very good, Yandel.
And the club directly hasn't even bothered to go to the fans. They've remained silent on the issue, on these issues and what people experienced, right? And there's left up to independent fan groups who haven't been asked by Everton, right? Haven't been asked by Everton. They're doing it on their own back because everyone was that pissed off. They said it. Now, the whole idea of a test is to test it out and surely get feedback. But how can the club get feedback if they're not asking for feedback?
They are. They did say there's an email.
No. But here's the thing: if it's truly a test event, right? I understand there's the audit, there's the safety, right? That's what they mean by test event. But if they're going to showcase it as that and then get the fans in and charge these prices and make it seem, look, everything was working fine when it's related to taking money off us. And hang on, I only just started speaking, mate.
Sorry, mate. Sorry, buddy. Sorry.
That's okay. They have no qualms. Everything was totally okay and set up to work when it came to taking money from us. The programs, everything was there. Queue up, the self-service thing, the beers and all that. Okay, there might have been queues, but when it came down to paying and quick and get all that done with the tickets, yes, it was very much like we are. Are we fans or are we just consumers?
Can I say one thing on the back of what you said, Yann, that I found you very interesting on the stream, both of you. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We'll come back to that in a sec, George's point.
That's very astute.
You can take that on in a sec.
Peter and George are very much like making similar points. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Ryan.
Take that on in a second. At the end of the day, I'll pay money for the food. I'll pay. I know it's overpriced. I know I'm trapped in, and I know I have no alternative. And I will queue, but I don't want to queue for 15 minutes. That is getting beyond the joke. I don't want to fight through crowds to the point where it's not safe and I can't get out the ground within a reasonable time or get in the ground. I think all they're very reasonable arguments. But what I would say is, at the end of the day, as long as the football is good and the money, they're making money off me, they're bleeding us dry. That's okay if they deliver on the pitch. Now, with signings like Jack Grealish, where they're sticking their money where their mouth is, I can accept that. I'll pay £6.50 for a donut is literally like, you might as well handcuff me, take my debit card, withdraw every penny I've got, and piss on it in the floor and put it down a well. I've never, ever heard of a donut costing £6.50. But what I'm saying is, as long as the money somehow finds its way into the pockets of the players that are going to make Everton successful and compete, then really all of this becomes superficial.
Does it though?
Well, no, but it becomes less
because
important.
They need to get I think what they need to do is they need to get the service right, and that's the crux of it. They need to get the service right.
Is the view good?
Yeah, fantastic.
So is the view better than when we sat in the park? And
I think it is. You get to see more. You can get to see the technical area. I love my seats. Don't get me wrong, but what makes it, and again, I've said this at the beginning. What gets me wrong is just the little things that are so easily fixed, but I don't know whether they will be. I think it's inexcusable not having, because I think someone was in the upper or lower of the north stand, and I think they didn't have a concession either. You know, again, but they're missing out on money as well. Let's get it right.
I don't think they wanted a bottleneck on that corner.
Well, they could have put it in their block one.
Maybe we are missing the point that it could be an intentional pricing exercise where they turn around and demonstrate a willingness to have a dialogue with the fans, knowing that they've overpriced everything in the attempt to discourage people, and then they can turn around and say, "Oh, we've lowered the prices." I don't know. That's another tactic.
That's not going to happen. Let's be honest. I
don't think they set the prices. I think it's all outsourced.
No,
yeah, but the club can decide if the club have allowed an outsourced company to have the freedom to charge that at an event. Someone's an idiot.
Well, yeah, but again,
they must be getting a kickback.
But they are. What they'll be doing is they'll be getting a license fee, either a lower license fee and then a share of the profits, or a big license fee and then Aramark take the profit. I think someone put up before, I'm trying to find this hilarious comment about how much clearance costs in donuts. I can't
1.8 million donuts on his wages.
And it wasn't even that as well.
No, it was 1.835 million donuts or something at £6.50, I think.
Anyway, yeah, it was
got to be more than that.
I can't find
he's
it,
on
so
12 million a year.
About that.
No, because it's 1.835 million donuts at £6.50 a donut is £12 million for the year.
Right. Okay. But at the end of the day, right, I think the sad reality of this fact is with the high prices is they don't want us. They don't want the normal season ticket holders. They don't want, the match going fans, because we go to match, as Peter Duggan pointed out before, we go to the match, don't really go to concessions, and then, go to the
by
pub
concessions,
before.
can you clarify that you mean the food courts?
What they do want is concessions there, Ryan.
If they restrict the parking to the point where you can't park, you have to walk, you have to get the train, then you're going to drink inside the ground and spend a load of money on beer.
No, you're not.
It's quite clever.
Drink outside. No. But the point being is they don't want us fans. They want day trippers. This is the whole point of the ballot. You have people that are not season ticket holders, but hardly missed a game. They missed out on the Brighton game. They had Forever Blue Plus, and they didn't get a priority. They got put into the ballot as Joe Bloggs next door, who's never been to a game in their entire lives, and I'm getting that's not a wrong.
Because they want to sell memberships.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a different topic.
Memberships, and they want to get out of towners in. They want to get your tourists in. The hottest ticket in the town, Dad might said, and let's be honest, that's what they've created. They want to model themselves on the shite. Let's not get.
But can I say, I actually
deluded.
Mabbsy, that's a better system. It's a fairer system, Mabbsy. Well, I think it's very, very. Can I give you 2 arguments?
Can I just talk on Aramark briefly before we move on?
Please. We'll come back to Aramark. It's very. You've just touched on this ballot thing. It's very, very harsh on the people who built the credits for last season. I completely sympathise with it, and I think they should have been. I don't know how they could have got around that.
Well, but I also think,
like the aways, it's a complete.
What they did with Southampton is he said, people with so many credits get a window, and then the rest go into a ballot. That might have been the fair way to do it.
Just for this season, but it's a closed shop. So away games, closed shop. Home games were a closed shop. This gives everyone the opportunity to go, and I see both sides. Don't get me wrong. I see it very harsh on the loyal fans, and I see it very harsh on the day trippers. I've just got one very tiny point before Yann moves, and it's nothing to do with this. It's just that I'd rather sit on the East Stand now, because on the bloody right-hand side of Everton, where we're going to be looking at the right wingers cutting in or whatever. We haven't got a bloody right winger, and we haven't got a bloody right back. And then on the left back, we've got Mikolenko with his one-footed, one-paced, bog-eyed dinosaur method of playing. Whereas Yandalf's going to have he's going to have Jack Grealish drifting left. He's going to have Dewsbury Hall interchanging. He's going to have Asnu dropping in, and he's going to have Ndai. He's got it all that side, and we've got nothing to watch.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
please swap.
Well, it's just, where do you want me to begin? Because I'm a cynic. I'm a wheel out the
Positive
the
cynic.
protests, everything. Right, no, okay, but look, it's just basically they're known for slightly 0-hour contracts. There's been labour disputes. They've got a history of having staff doing things like strikes for the first time in history, striking over pay. Aramark. There's controversy over I don't know how they house asylum seekers in Northern Ireland. I mean, I don't know what more you want. Like, I'm really not a big fan of them, to be fair. And their markups
they're a big
already.
American conglomerate, aren't they? Let's
yeah, but I mean,
they're a Yank outfit.
well, they've been involved in prison service labor in America as well, which has been wrapped up in corruption and fraud and court cases and institutional plans to target certain ethno-cultural groups for taxes and profits and kickbacks. I don't know where to begin, mate, honestly.
Yeah, well, we've got to do a deal with the devil to get Grealish and Co in.
I'm probably look. It's out there on the internet. I'm not saying. I'm just saying they've been involved. If there happens to have been court cases and arbitration,
surely at some point, and that's what we've done.
I mean, it says something about a company when they would. It says something about a company when they'd rip off like national park workers and the provisions for things like national parks and things like who really does that? I don't know.
When I put you two on at the bottom, I should put the on the picture, bad language expected but not guaranteed. You know what it says at the bottom?
At the end of the day, Ro, it's like 9 o'clock at night. So I'm sorry.
No, but
I'm sorry, not sorry. But at the end of the day, I'm not going and broadcasting.
No, but the C word is quite heavy.
I'm sorry, but it is what it is. And you know what? I am pissed off. I am, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say, "Oh, everything's fine." Hill Dickinson. When
I can tolerate it. I thought the main thing for me, as I've harped on about, is there's nowhere to bloody park near the ground. And then when I get in, I just concern myself with the fact that I am a bit worried about the crowds because I think we were promised that wide concourses where you don't feel like you're getting crushed. And from what you're telling me, getting from south to getting into the seat, it's going to be like bedlam.
You have to remember, though, that there was nothing particularly keeping people in the seats because people wanted to look and discover and see what was there. And then there wasn't the half-time entertainment and all the things, and you didn't know the people around yourself. It's a very artificial circumstance. I do have to say, it's about time I tried to bring it full circle with some perspective and balance,
No, but, okay, yeah, but people are going to all season, and because of the balance system, people want to go and look around the stadium because it's all new and again, no blame.
Sorry, ballot system. Has the club implemented the idea that I said months ago, where for the first 1 or 2 seasons you can just trial where you want to sit around the stadium?
No, so they're balancing people now for tickets. So general sale, there's no general sale anymore. Basically, you go to a ballot to get a ticket. And again, they've given indications of prices, but haven't given prices. I think that's wrong. I think you get to choose like a first and second choice, so you don't even know what you're going to be paying in this ballot as well. It just comes out of your account.
Can we just point out, though, that we're tearing everything down, and I don't think we are really giving that much exposure to what we really should say, which is I should have caveated all this at the start by saying I walked up those stairs and it was an almost breathtaking moment to see no obstructed views, which I kind of miss.
You know what, right? If it's like this every game, I'd rather go back and go listen. controversial viewpoint.
So I couldn't even finish one part of the positive statement. This is what I'm saying. We need to acknowledge the fact that it's beautiful. Everything is very well done. The glass, but
is it beautiful?
Not everything's well done, because we're quite.
Is it beautiful? Is it beautiful?
Yes, as I was trying to say before, Mabbsy interrupted me twice, and you're interrupting me now with the question.
I am leaving.
Do you want to? Okay.
I am leaving. Sorry. The only thing people have said that some of the entrance ways are quite narrow, and that David complained that he was twisting his head the whole time. But apart from that, I think it's just because he had a 6'9" person sat next to him. Was that true, Mabbsy?
No, I was behind him, actually.
No, not you.
Oh, your dad?
No, the guy next to David on the left in my seat.
Oh, right, yeah, to be fair.
He was very tall, David said, and he couldn't.
But nevertheless.
He was in my seat. Has he put germs on it?
He was in your seat in an England shirt, Ryan.
Can I just ask you, before I go, for peace of mind, if I get there and I have my tasty vegan burger, which I've had to remortgage my property for, I fight my way through the crowds and I get past there and I actually sit in my seat, will I be happy with the view? Forget the standard of football on the pitch and the fact I'm only going to be looking at Mikolenko stand on the ball, move 2 yards and stand on the ball. Is the actual view of what we potentially will see amazing? Can you please reassure me?
It is stunning, and you can't get away from the fact that it is stunning.
Okay, that's enough. The rest can be fixed. The rest can be fixed. Then we just have to talk about it. Yeah, we just have to talk about it, and we have to let them know about it. But the rest can be fixed. Yandalf and Mabbsy, pleasure as always. I'm looking forward to listening to the rest of the show. I've got my headphones in and I'm listening to you guys.
Just quick one piece of Doug and say Mikolenko's injured. I think you're okay.
Well, I am a bit concerned that Yandalf is going to get the beautiful trio of Ndai, Dewsbury Hall and Grealish drifting right in front of his eyes on the front row. He is going to get the prime view of all the carbs, whereas we are literally going to have this makeshift right wing in front of us as we tap the south stand, and it'll be like, what are we watching? Why is everything down the other side? Why is everything opposite? We can't see anything down our side. I'm desperate for a touchline winger.
Look at the big screens, Ryan. They are huge.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay.
It's a phenomenal view. Okay, so we've run through your view. Like, I just want to say the positives. Okay.
Yeah.
It felt a little bit. I know I talked about us trudging through the things, but everything has nuance. It's not just black and white. And I said it was a bit like a Lowry painting when we were trudging through the bloody Regent Road and all the 10 Streets area and stuff. And there was not very much, especially post-match. And it was like, oh, well, we're going, because maybe other people had the underwhelm at the cost or the crush or that we didn't win or other little things that were just, you don't want to articulate it because you don't want to be negative, as I tried to call you before this stream. But I was excited. Yeah. I was excited going up there, coming through the ground. Okay, no, seeing it for the first time, coming onto Regent Road and seeing it there is beautiful. The history there and the fact that we're reclaiming what was always been, for as long as I've been alive, a very dead, dying, desolate, ruined, post-industrial, crumbling area of the city. There's been nothing there, and the only thing I've seen is like warehouse things, dark kitchens, martial arts studios, and music studios. That's all I know it as. And maybe
10 Streets.
Yeah, and wholesale retail warehouses.
Hang on, is that a dig?
No, I'm just saying.
I'm joking.
Right, but the thing is, it was wonderful. It was to see it there. To see it, it's a phenomenal structure. Like whether you're talking about the nods to the brick buildings, the tobacco warehouses, whether it's the beautiful designs of the stanchions and the nods to the cantilevers, you get close and there's the pump house or the tower, which the club needs to do something about because it's a beautiful piece of building with its history there, and it's a central thing that people.
Haven't they?
I don't know, but
yeah,
look,
they restored it.
Yeah, excellent. Right now, it was amazing though, because you walk through those gates and it's like this is it. We are on the banks of the Mersey. This is ours. The river is ours. The city is ours. We're here, right? And it was like you walk through that. You walk through the big doors, which are a little bit like sort of American high school auditorium watching old Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like you go through it. This is a bit weird. I want something similar that says you know, the procedure, the act of going through the wooden doors, the turnstiles, the things into Goodison, something like that. Like, you know, you've got the gates at some places that shall not be named and things like that. And we had Dixie and the statue and stuff. You kind of want something, because I know we've gone through the gates and the turnstiles, but then it's just those metal grill turn things, which are really not a big fan of, right? It was great. It was great. It was, oh God, who is that? I know that. Yeah, there we go. Mike and John, excellent. Magic. Hey, guys. And it was fantastic. And then you walk in the concourse and everyone's there and excited, and it's amazing, and all the staff feel excited, and they're there, and it's like it's home, and it's wonderful. And seeing the same faces of some of the stewards that have got to pick, and they're there, and I'm like, hello, amazing. And then you walk out, and as if ordained by the footballing gods, the moment I put my foot on that first step to just go up those few steps and look, da 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 da, right, and you come out, and holy, I did it intentionally. Nearly every seat full, or you know, at least a sea of fans. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. Actually, basically, yeah, Sal, thank you. It is, and it will get better, and I know that. And these are.
It took us 90 minutes to get there.
And I think Ryan is right. I think if the standard of football is there, that these gripes will go. I just think it needs to be more on point, and it will get on more point. And as the season progresses and fans get to interact, and there is that interaction between the fans and the club, and I hope that continues. I just don't want. I think I don't want that disconnect between. I don't want a disconnect between the fans and the club like there was in the past, but it does seem that way, because the way that the ballot was announced, they said, you know, after consultation with fan groups, well, the main fan groups weren't consulted. You know, who was consulted? The club won't tell us
Not
who was consulted. And what fan group would, I don't know. And you know what? Come out and say if they did consult a fan group, or what fan groups were consulted, and that would be interesting, but they won't. I also think as well that there's been loads of negativity on social media, venting the frustrations, right? And again, the club, the silence is almost deafening. They haven't put a statement out today, which I think they should have said, you know, we're aware of some issues, we're going to get around to solving it. Nothing. We're hit by a brick wall of silence. You know, they do a lot of good things.
It's exactly, but what do we expect from Moshiri? Sorry, Steve Dickinson did those unofficial Everton books, and they're fantastic. If you can put up with some of his passable accents and try not to laugh too much at it's a very good book that covers Everton's, especially Moshiri's purchase and the move to Bramley Moor. And he does talk about, and he highlights, we don't talk about how sometimes ridiculous Moshiri was, and you have to wonder whether was this a man who where was the media at Everton Football Club that decided to reach out through the media and not issue statements through the approved channels? And so the fans are jaded, and we're literally our window of tolerance is so small. That's why it's not that we're niggling and nitpicking over every little thing. It's that, for Christ's sake, give us a break, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is, but a little point isn't about, you know what, right? If you're saying you consult some fan groups, actually consult fan groups. You know, let the episode support, let the fan advisory board, let the, you know, why weren't they consulted? And that's all we're asking for. We're not asking we're asking for open honesty and transparency. If you haven't consulted fan groups, don't say we've consulted fan groups. And if you have, tell us the fan groups that were consulted, because the FAB weren't definitely involved. As the Supporters Association wasn't involved. So who was? And that's all we ask. You know,
anyway, to go back to the positive,
like that, and then the main fan groups are disassociating in with themselves, then who did you ask? And it's a serious question.
Now, let's get back to it though, because I think it's very interesting to let me just maybe encapsulate that and to see if we can find some positives that focus on the stadium, the test event, because I left it with ambivalence. As you say, the experience itself was complex. It missed the emotion. You desperately claw at things. It's like starting a new job or moving to a new house, or I don't know, just weird things that seem a bit different. And it was unsettling, and you so desperately want that comfort, and it wasn't there. But it will be. But as I say, you go through and you go to the ground, and the finish, the seats. Okay, you're not going to get armchairs. You're not going to get lazy boys.
The
seats
leg room was great.
Yeah,
6'4", and I had leg room, and at the end of the day, didn't have that in the park end. So that's
right. The fit and finish on everything. I was paying little attention to detail, so all the sort of things like the hoardings and the advertising boards, and just every little thing that's had attention paid to it, like maybe the Wi-Fi repeater boxes, the space, just every bit of fit and finish has clearly been designed with a function like where you've got barriers for safety to stop people going forward or rushing in and out, and they're glass so that people can see through the football. You know what I mean? Or that there's not somebody there that falls or doesn't know that someone's coming behind. And just all these little touches that is down to, I guess, Dan Mayes and
something which can't be helped is that bloody Budweiser advert in that horrible colour.
How you cannot decide that as a gimmick is a wonderful thing, you don't not turn it blue. Like, I just do not know. They did it with the sauce and the donuts as a gimmick, and you can do it with tomato ketchup. Why can't you do it with advertising within this protected space or something? Because you're not encroaching anything else. You're surrendering. You're entitled to use your copyright and your branding as you see fit, or to not. Come on, I don't want to see red around the place.
Yeah, I am joking. I am just obviously that is their colour. It is what it is. Just has to get used to it. Will there be LGM fans present? No, I don't think there is an AGM anymore because the Frederick Group own. Like, that remains to be seen. They don't think they legally have to do that because of the amount of shares that they own. So AGM, again, good question, but I'm not sure that will happen. Jazz, Kevin's thought, Jazz, I'm not, but I agree. Having Wi-Fi is good. That's another thing. Apparently, the Wi-Fi was switched off during the game. The Wi-Fi was very good. Mobile phone signal again was good. I could check my bets actually because I didn't have to use the Wi-Fi. Got really strong signal on EE, and it worked a dream. Jazz says an urgent fans forum meeting is needed. Well, yeah, but if they can go, are they going to consult the club, Jazz? That remains to be seen. I'm assuming you're talking about your signal now. They put actual mobile phone repeaters in, so that increases the signal.
It's mass bandwidth for active connections. Yeah.
So it doesn't. So they have installed that now, Jazz. Now again, it only works in certain networks. I think it was working on EE and O2. Vodafone's going live for the Brighton game, but I think people on free have a problem because I'm not on free, but I think David was on free and he couldn't get a signal. So he's not 100% surely, but maybe they need to get. Well, they do need to get free on board on that as well. Then, in that case,
yeah. But the thing is, you've got to bear in mind that people might have had signal access through a QoS, and I'm not going to get into the technical thing of it. So it might be that when the load is shared over other prioritized masts, that the offloading of other carriers' customers is distributed more evenly. And
they
specifically
said that Vodafone wasn't working, so I'm assuming that they hadn't installed the Vodafone technology. So I'm assuming they hadn't installed the free technology, and you don't know whether free signed up to it or willing to pay for it. Who knows? Who knows?
So okay. So here's the thing I was going to say about that. Right. we've discussed it, but maybe people forget about it, that one immediate change from the reconsolidation or the restructuring of our debt and interest is that we have between 45 and 50 million extra wiggle room for operational costs. That is, we can, we're basically not spending 50 million outlay in repayments that we were paying previously, which frees up, in theory, 50 million for wages or a player, you know what I mean, or a combination thereof. But also, you see the stadium and crying out loud, look, Adam Asnu, whether he's not quite made it and he's been pushed out or something, there has to be some reason that he's wanted at Everton. And whether it was, or there has to be some reason he wants to come at Everton. Now you'll talk to me about players in their young 20s who aren't on the brink of the top 20 clubs in Europe, but aim or aspire to be at that level at some point in their career, but they're not the wonder kids who have lit it up and just have the easy ride there. They're going to see Everton, if with a bit of faith and a good sales pitch, they're going to see Everton with this increase in revenue as starting to attract more. Do you want to do the Joe Hart and be in on the ground floor like at Man City? That's the kind of pitch that I'd be giving.
Yeah. Everything you said, Budweiser isn't great. But the good thing about this deal, yes, Budweiser is the main brand, but they do have Stella because it's part of InterBev. So you do. I think it was Bodlington's on as well, and some sort of cider. I'm not really drinking, but there is a choice. It isn't just gonna get Budweiser down your throat. So there are options. Right. I think, is there anything more people want to make a comment on before we wrap things up?
No, not that I can think of.
I mean,
did you see that comment from the Blue Boys?
This is a relevant comment now. You can't judge someone. You can't judge someone. They just joined the club, don't know how the team plays. We've got to give them time. We can't just say write them off.
I saw positive signs. Asnu's got a match awareness where he knows where he should be. It's just that sometimes maybe he fell short because he's trying to play a tactic that was a different intensity or a different style than was being played. But he's only young and he's only just moved, so that was okay. And he's showing cohesive signs and willingness to work with O'Brien. Oh no, that was the left back. No, but he's showing willingness to sort of point there and do this, and then they were talking to each other. And that was also that was the case for Tieno Barry, who was showing a lot of forward intent and the beautiful touch and control on the forward. It's great. I'm seeing positive signs.
Absolutely, but there's a lot of people writing them off. And again, how can you write them off on the friendly? They've just recently joined the club. They need a lot more training together to gel. So I don't think that. I think unfair criticism on those two in particular. What I'm going to put a big out. Dewsbury Hall, what a sensation he was. Absolutely fantastic. And long may that continue. But then again, he's come from the Premier League, so he knows what the league's about. So,
unfortunately, not Blue Nose.
Well, wait. What was it?
Oh, Roger, sorry, are you Roger by any chance? I just realised you Blue Nose because my dad used to talk to somebody online from Dublin on one of the forums. Grand old team, by the way. If anyone is coincidentally watching this, I just thought it's worth mentioning. New change, all change. If anybody is watching this and was on the old Blue Kipper, grand old team, or 606 Evertonians 606 forum, and they ever spoke to my dad, Toffee Dan, moustache, the shaving of the tash in the Winslow back 20 years ago or longer, stuff like that, drop a message, join, something like that, please do reach out.
Right. I think this has gone longer. I only planned half an hour, 1 hour 43 minutes. So yeah, there's been a lot that we've talked about, and again, not all great. Again, we are fully aware that it was a test event, and all that jazz. Oh, hang on, am I still on? and all the jazz. And at the end of the day, you know, things can only get better, surely. I mean, we've got a cracking stadium. It is
Right,
breathtaking. I
Brian.
know we said that Robbie Goodison, but it is breathtaking. I'm happy where I'm sat. I know Ryan's had a moan. Ryan just moans. But I'm sure sure Jazz can verify that. But you know what? I think the future's bright. We can see that we're rebuilding, having that positive news today of Jack coming along, Jack Grealish coming signing on it, albeit a 12-month loan. You know, things are looking up for us, and you know what? Let's kick on up the table, and let's beat the Leeds scum on Monday. Do you want to add anything else?
I mean, no. I hope that the Brighton game is a good one. Yeah, I'm so desperate to want to recreate the same vibe that that you had from Goodison, because honestly, I know that fans say this. Fans really do say this about their club and about their fan base and about the match days and the team and the players and the environment. But really, you can tell when something is authentically special or not. And we've had that, and it nearly died. We nearly killed it. Whether it was the on-field performance, board decisions, football, the adjudication committee and the points deductions, anything, we very nearly died. And I'm not just talking about administration and failure and obscurity, but we were last gasps. It was whimpers. It was desperation. It was scrabbling around in the dark, going, "What are we going to do?" Because we had players that didn't even want to turn up. We had homegrown players that had gone through the ranks that just wanted out. Dirty rats, you know. But we're turning a corner, man, and it really feels positive. Yeah. There is an air of excitement, man, and that's what I want to get behind. And there's the opportunity for the club to do that with the fans support, you know, supporters groups and business owners and prominent people who really have an interest in essentially pissing away their money to demonstrate their love for the club. Yeah. Why are the club not doing anything to bring them into the fold? Come on, guys. It's not rocket science. Oh, you've gone.
I think that's probably appropriate time to... What? I'm here.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Yann?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's the appropriate time to wrap everything up. Join us for the preview. What days? I don't know what the day the preview is, but we'll all be doing a preview for the Leeds game. I don't know who's on it again. Should check the spreadsheet, but I haven't. But anyway, up the fucking Toffees and enjoy the season.
Before we go, wait, one last question though. It's a very good point. Are any of the stands going to be named after ex-players and managers? And I do think if they are, Dixie Dean should very much be the west stand that faces the Wirral, because he was from Tranmere. And it's also the hospitality, the heart of the club. And really, you know, we've gone for, I do think that should be the Dixie Dean. And potentially there's the Howard Kendall as well, which might be the club view, because he was the man that really put us in the map in the modern generation. That's just two for my nominations, but unless you think otherwise.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't disagree with it, to be fair. Anyway, on that bombshell, have a good night, people, and thank you for listening to our rants and up the fucking Toffees.